What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, May 13th, 2024, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 23:42 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Eastern Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. So I want to start with Asia. So tonight, we have more U.S. high priority reconnaissance planes patrolling the Korean Peninsula and Taiwan and Japan. So, what you're looking at here is a Cobra Ball missile detector plane heading east from Okinawa, Japan. This is the second time in the last couple of days that we've seen this Cobra Ball go out towards the Pacific. And North Korea recently tested some heavy artillery shells, 240 millimeter artillery shells. So it could be related to another missile test by North Korea. Now, at the same time, we also have another combat Sentinel plane patrolling this peninsula here in China, in the Yellow Sea, right across from the Korean Peninsula. There's this little peninsula here, Yantai, and this combat Sentinel plane was patrolling this area here. And we do know that China has numerous long-range missiles set up here on their shoreline in this area so they can strike Japan. So these combat Sentinel planes are high priority reconnaissance planes. They send intelligence information directly to the U.S. president and our top generals. And there's only two of these planes in the entire Air Force. So if one of these planes is up in the air, it means something serious is going on and they need to take a closer look at it. And these planes in particular can pick up radar signals and radio signals. Okay, so they're trying to get a fix on potentially the locations of these missile sites and maybe if they're planning to launch missiles or something. I don't know. But this is very, very concerning. And we also have a lot of activity in the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea. Tonight we have Forte 10, an RQ-4 Global Hawk, patrolling the Black Sea, and this thing is covering the entire Black Sea. It went as far east as near Sochi, and this thing flying in the Black Sea could be a prelude to another Ukrainian strike on Crimea. On Sunday, Crimea hit some kind of important air defense site in Crimea on a mountain. So when these things are up in the air over the Black Sea, they're usually collecting reconnaissance on Crimea and sending it to the Ukrainians. We also have a British reconnaissance plane patrolling the coast of Syria and Lebanon. This is very, very interesting, flying close to Beirut and Tripoli. Very interesting. And in addition to that, we also have another reconnaissance drone here. This one is an MQ-4C Triton, and it's flying off the coast of Libya. Check this out. Now, we do know that Russian subs like to hang out over here off the coast of Libya, so it could be related to that. I do know that these MQ-4C Tritons are able to detect submarines, so very interesting. And senior Biden administration officials now believe that Israel has pre-positioned enough troops and military equipment in southern Gaza to launch a full-scale invasion of the city of Rafah, with officials stating that they are unsure if a final decision has been made by the Israeli government. So Israel has everything they need to start the Rafah operation. And a week ago, the Israeli War Cabinet voted to expand the Rafah operation. Okay, so when Israel goes into Rafah, I expect massive escalation in the Middle East and around the world. I think the Muslim world is going to go crazy. I think we're going to see terrorist attacks here in the U.S. and in Europe. I think we're going to see the Iranian proxies kicking up their attacks again in the Middle East on American bases. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1 month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1 month freeze dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the My Patriot Supply 1 month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. And UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that a UN vehicle was struck in Gaza, apparently killing a UN worker. And the U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said, "We do not believe what is happening in Gaza is a genocide." So the U.S. saying it's not a genocide, what's going on in Gaza with Israel trying to eliminate Hamas. And I want to just show you guys the latest situation in Kharkiv. The Russians are continuing to make gains in Kharkiv. They're fighting in Vovchansk right now, which is a critical city, because if the Russians take Vovchansk, then they have access to this highway that leads into Kharkiv. But also, this area here is a water supply. Okay, so they can control this entire river here. And the Ukrainians have already blown up this bridge here in Stary Saltiv. So the Ukrainians are preparing for the worst, and you can see they made some gains here. They've already taken the village of Lukyansky and Chlaiboke. They've already taken Morikovets. And so now all they got to do is just push south and head towards Kharkiv. And Russia is building up a massive amount of forces in Sumy. Okay, and it looks like they're going to try to open up another front near Sumy, which is over here just to the west of Kharkiv, and they're going to try to push south maybe and try to reach Poltava and encircle Kharkiv. But they're making gains quickly here, guys. Look at this. Let me just go back to yesterday. All right, this was yesterday. Look at the gains they've made just over the weekend. Okay, yesterday, Saturday, Friday, and Thursday. So this is Thursday before they even started. They started on the night of Thursday. Okay, here's Friday morning, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and today. Okay, so the Russians are gaining, and they're going to try to take the city, it looks like. Kharkiv is a very important city. It's the second largest city in Ukraine, and there are a lot of Russian-speaking people there. And it would make sense for Russia to try to take it, or at least put pressure on it. So if Russia does go into Kharkiv, I do believe it's going to be like a modern-day Stalingrad, and Ukraine and Russia are going to fight very viciously over this city because it's just so strategically important, and it's going to get really, really brutal. And we have a U.S. Army commander of the V Corps, Lieutenant General Charles Costanza, saying that the biggest threat to NATO is Russia, and he's saying that the threat is imminent and not 3 to 7 years like a lot of people in NATO are saying. So let's just listen to what he had to say. He's the commander of the V Corps, And I want to remind you guys that the V Corps were heavily involved in World War II. They were one of the first units to be deployed in World War II to Europe to fight against the Nazis. And the V Corps were relocated to Poland when the war in Ukraine first started. We moved like 10,000 airborne forces to Ukraine, and the V Corps made their permanent headquarters in Poland. Okay, so let's just listen to what he has to say. Very chilling statement here.
What are the biggest threats you see in Europe right now, and what are you preparing for?
The biggest threats is clearly Russia, right? I think that there's a little bit of a misperception that we have time and that Russia's taken a lot of losses and it's going to take them a while to rebuild and reconstitute. I don't have that view. I think that they have actually reconstituted while they're fighting this war in Ukraine. They're actually bigger in size than they were before the war started. And so they may be not as well trained, but they're bigger. And so they've also modernized, learning the lessons from fighting in Ukraine, which is going to be a problem for us in the West because Ukraine's using Western equipment. They are using Western techniques. Russia's learning how to defeat that. And I think we need to be ready in the near term. So, NATO thinks 3 to 7 year kind of horizon to reconstitute. Other people say the same thing. I think it's much more nearer term than that.
Do you think the realization of that
This guy has a Ranger tab. Check that out.
Yes.
threat is there?
So I've been to Europe before. It's not my first time here, but this is the first time I've seen a real sense of urgency from NATO to get ready.
So very serious statements from the commander of the V Corps of the U.S. Army, Charles Costanza. And I want to show you guys some of the flight paths over Lithuania earlier this morning and last night. We had an Italian AWACS plane hanging out in Lithuania near the border of Belarus for hours. And then at the same time, there was a U.S. Air Force F-16 that was flying over Lithuania, and it turned its transponder off as it was heading towards Latvia. We also had a Latvian border guard plane patrolling the border with Russia up here in Latvia. We had 2 aerial refuelers flying over Poland last night. We also had a German military cargo plane fly to Rzeszów, probably delivering equipment for Ukraine. But lots of activity here in Poland and the Baltics. It looks like this is where the next big front is going to be. It's going to be here in the Baltics and in Poland. That's where the next big war is going to start. And at least 5,900 people have been evacuated from the Kharkiv Oblast since Russia launched their new offensive in the region, according to the Kharkiv governor Oleg Sinyahubov. He said this during a press briefing today. And defeating Russia's operation in Kharkiv Oblast requires defeating Russia's glide bomb threat. Russian forces are using glide bombs launched from Russian airspace to enable Russian ground maneuver in Kharkiv Oblast. And the U.S. is doing everything humanly possible to get more arms to Ukraine, according to the White House. And we have some major breaking news coming in from Germany. Apparently, the German defense minister is proposing mandatory conscription for all 18-year-olds, and this could go public as soon as next month. And army insiders in Germany believe the policy would most likely need to receive societal approval. Okay, so Germany is looking to bring back mandatory military service for all people 18 plus. So this is huge news, guys. Remember, Germany has 90 million people, and they have a very powerful economy. If Germany mobilized, they could be a very serious military powerhouse. And German politicians are calling for a 70-kilometer NATO air defense zone around Ukraine. Cross-party groups call for a safe zone around the country's borders with Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and Romania. Top members of the opposition Christian Democratic Union Party, as well as coalition members, Free Democratic Party and the Greens, have all agreed. So all the major political parties in the German parliament have agreed to creating this air defense zone around Ukraine. And we do know that several Russian missiles have violated Polish airspace already, some of them even crashing in Poland. The first time one of the Russian missiles crashed into Poland, it killed 2 farmers. Then there was another missile that flew over Belarus and went all the way to western Poland and crashed just a few miles from a NATO base. And then there were several missiles that actually flew into Poland and turned around and left. And the Parliament of Lithuania has given their prime minister the go-ahead to send troops to Ukraine. The prime minister of Lithuania is awaiting Ukraine's permission. Wow. And we also know that Estonia said that they would send troops to Ukraine to support Ukraine in rear roles. So that would free up more troops that could go to the front lines. So it looks like so far we have France, Lithuania, and Estonia planning to send troops into Ukraine. And in Lithuania, NATO soldiers are actively training in house-to-house combat on the border with Belarus. The German ground forces wrote on X Media, in Pambrady, Lithuania, the forces of the 1st Infantry Regiment from Saraburg, who specialize in urban and house-to-house combat, are training. They are part of the multinational brigade in Lithuania in the multinational exercise Grand Quadriga 24 and are proving their combat readiness. Wow. Okay, so German forces training in urban and house-to-house combat right on the border of Belarus with Lithuanians. The U.S. is conducting military exercises on the territory of Moldova. The Moldovan army is participating in joint exercises with the U.S. military on the territory of Moldova, which will take place from May the 9th through May the 16th. American soldiers were transported to Moldova by Hercules military transport aircraft. The exercise scenario involves the deployment of ground units of the U.S. Army in the central and northern regions of the Republic. These exercises will be followed by exercises for Moldovan reservists from May the 20th to May the 31st. Okay, so this is huge news, guys. The U.S. Army is training with the Moldovan army, and they're practicing right next to Transnistria, which is a Russian-occupied part of Moldova. And the president of Moldova, Maya Sandu, called Russia an aggressor and accused Russia of intending to attack Moldova. And apparently Russian forces have already forcibly detained and continue to detain people in the Vovchansk area in Kharkiv Oblast. They locked locals in a basement on May 11th, 2024. Some of them managed to escape and reached volunteers on May the 13th. The victims said that during their stay in the basement, they heard the occupiers talking about shooting civilians. People were also forced to provide medical assistance to the occupiers. Okay, so there could be another Bucha in the Kharkiv Oblast, guys. And looks like Russia is about to open another front in Ukraine in the Sumy Chernihiv region. Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, said that there is Russian activity in the Sumy and Chernihiv regions, including subversion groups and an increase in intensity of shelling. And apparently Russian agents planned terror attacks in the capital of Ukraine on May the 9th, according to Ukraine's intelligence service. They were planning to place explosive devices disguised in tea packages, and the explosives had to be detonated during peak hours to cause maximum damage. And what you're looking at here is a ship in Arkhangelsk, Russia, that caught fire spontaneously. It was in a dry dock. So looks like potentially Ukrainian agents sabotaging another Russian ship, this time all the way in Arkhangelsk, which is in northwestern Russia. And tonight we have a Janet flight heading from Las Vegas to Area 51. You can see right here that it landed at Groom Lake. This is Area 51. These Janet flights bring employees of Area 51 from Las Vegas to Area 51 for their weekly shift. They stay there for about a week at a time, and then they fly back. So that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back tomorrow with more breaking news, but it looks like the situation in Kharkiv is not looking good. Look at this huge area that Russia has already occupied just in the last 4 days, guys, okay? And there's no indications that they're stopping, and they want to take this highway that goes right into Kharkiv, and then they're going to start funneling in troops. So I'm going to be monitoring this for you, and if anything serious happens, you can always count on me to go live and check out my Telegram. I always post all these updates to my Telegram. So if you follow me on Telegram, you'll never miss an update. And my Telegram is t.me/NYPrepper1. And I will be back tomorrow with more breaking news. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like button down below if you like the video. Also hit the notification bell so you get notified when I post these updates. And until next time, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.